in the background in our chat, I just called Tyler McAfee Defaball for that little transition that he did there. But I'm not going to be able to live up to that. So yeah, let's just get right into the McHenry event and who you guys liked.
I'll start it off. With my best overall prospect, I have two, just because I didn't want to pick one. Alex Gavoni, I mean, he was one that we had on our preseason ID, like, projected winners list, and I thought he looked really good. I caught his round of BP. I mean, we got him ranked number 48 in the state right now, and I think that could climb a little bit in the coming weeks here. But clean right-handed swing, it was on the barrel. I just really like the way the swing works, and it's balanced, and it stays up the middle, up to 95 for the EV. And I thought he was clean on the infield. It seems like a left side of the infield guy to me. Just a good all-around showing. And then I thought Mason Koth from Jacobs, a freshman, 2029, was really intriguing, really loud for a freshman. It's like he's a bigger kid right now, like 6'2", 180-ish, but it's projectable. Like he's strong, and he's stronger than most kids his age, but you can see that getting better and more physical and continuing to get louder. So it's not like he's one of those kids where you're like, this is what he's going to be in 2 years. Like, he's going to get stronger. And it's already really loud. But it was like mid-90s for the exits, and I can see that improving in a hurry. So just two guys that I really liked.
Yeah, and Pete, just to piggyback, because like at this event, I saw all the defense, and both those guys, Gavoni and Koth, the younger Koth, like were standouts defensively. Like Gavoni, like you said, like that's a guy to me that could easily stick on the left side of the infield at the next level. Mason, to me, like his brother's a very talented center fielder that I'm going to touch on here in a little bit, and like I don't see any reason why Mason can't be just as successful in the outfield. So just wanted to piggyback there because both stood out defensively. And I can start out with my first topic for the day, which is going to be best infield standout or top infield standout. And that's going to be Landon Clements out of McHenry. 2027, listen, we've given Landon a ton of love on this podcast for a while. I think all of us here are big fans. And a guy who's now going to be transitioning into playing shortstop for McHenry, a team that finished second in state last year. Like, I just loved how fluid he looked up the middle. Like a guy that to me is going to have zero issue transitioning from playing second last year, now going to be the main guy at short for the Warriors. So fluid, it was easy. Like this is a guy who's not selling out for a ton of velo across the infield. Like it's just very easy, very simple, and very smooth fundamentals. So he was the top defender on the infield for me on the day.
He also had the fourth best 30 time at 3.81, ran a 1.65 split for the 10-yard. And I love that because that shows up in game. Like we consistently get him running like sub 4.2s down the line. And then exactly what you're talking about on the infield with like not selling out for velo was exactly the type of round of BP he took. It was ultra comfortable, relaxed. Like it was just like a Sunday afternoon hitting with his coach or his dad or whatever. He's super fluid, sprays the ball around the yard, and there's so much more projection to come, like strength-wise, and the way the ball comes off the bat with how easy he swings just tells me like there's a lot more to come. So really good all-around showing for Clements, a guy going to UIC, and someone that I think is a breakout candidate again. I'm not that he like didn't break out last year, but man, he could really carry the load for that offense there with Carver Cone and Wisniewski surrounding him as well.
And I can go right into my outfield standout, and I kind of teased this earlier, but it's Jace Koth, the older Koth brother. Again, they're out of Jacobs. He's still uncommitted, a 2027 who's still hanging out there. But, man, the jumps he's kind of made, explosive-wise. Like, this kid was 92 from the outfield at this event, which I don't really remember his arm playing that strong in the past. Like, this is a kid who, when I saw him in the spring, like, can just cover a crap ton of ground out in center field. Like, he can easily move gap to gap, cover a ton of ground, but like now that the arm's continuing to tick up, like I just think it makes his profile that much more attractive as he moves on to the next level. But just another uncommitted guy that like school should be taking a look at. I don't know if you guys have anything on his BP round, but a guy who's a high bat to ball guy. He'll bat leadoff for Jacobs this spring. Set it and forget it.
Pete, did you happen to see his BP? Because I did. So if not, I think it might have been Josh Fields over there at that time or Deep Benedetto, but it was the best I'd ever seen Jace Koth.
Yeah, I did not see him, but I wish I
great.
did.
Like the way you talk about him defensively there, Tyler, just fires me up even more because it was always a really interesting swing. It kind of lacked some repeat in like previous years to where like, okay, he'd flash something really good. And then a couple swings weren't exactly the same. This year, it was super dynamic as far as repeatability and living on the barrel. Every ball came off his bat like extremely hard. And I'm digging in here. I wanted to give him some just like credit on, average exit velo and stuff like that because he's not the biggest guy. He's like a top of the order dynamic center field type, and his max EV was 94.8 and his average EV was 87.7, but he was hitting balls all over the zone, handling everything, and it was peppering to the back of the screen. So like exactly what he should be for his profile, and I was highly impressed by Jace.
And I can touch on my last defensive guy for the day before we move on to other stuff, but wanted to give a catcher some love, going right back to Jacobs for this one. But Luke Flaskamp, a 2027, really liked it defensively behind the plate. Like I thought it was athletic, mobile defender. Like he had a 192 pop time. And he was also 78 from the crouch. Like, just thought it was athletic, thought it was repeatable, and a guy who should help control the running game over there for Jacobs. But
we're doing a lot of talking about Jacobs, Tyler.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about the Koth boys being at Jacobs. I know there's another guy in here we're going to talk about from Jacobs as well, a position player. But, yeah, Luke Flaskamp, that's one I did not see on the day. So to hear that he kind of came out, I don't know if we had seen him or known about him in the past.
I believe he played.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he played for him last year too. But a guy that again like has made some strides. Like I really liked Jace Koth last spring, but like kid who's gotten better. Flaskamp, same deal. So shout out to Coach Murray's squad. But I'll let you guys move on to some other topics here.
Well, we might as well stay with Jacobs, right? My data darling from the day was Ryan Tucker, Jacobs 2027. Just kind of a loud all-around day, right? I mean, we got him ranked number 144 right now in the state, so a name we're familiar with. But he's ran a 6.7 in the past, but he was 101 for the EV, and he showed some big bat speed with 80 miles an hour, and he was 86 miles an hour positionally too. So one of the better all-around toolsy days.
I loved it. You talk about the data darling, and sometimes like maybe they're not the greatest performer or something like that. You never know. Like they're checking a ton of boxes on the stat sheet. Like man, he was hammering baseballs in the cage. It was on repeat to the pull side gap. Very simple and direct. It was for me. It was my best showing, or my best look at Ryan Tucker yet. Talk about all these Jacobs guys just continuing to get better. So look out, Fox Valley. I think they're gonna be a tough out this spring.
And I want to give Ryan just a little bit more love because like defensively he was right up there with me, with Landon Clements as like maybe the best defensive infielder on the day. Like the type of actions, like this kid has definitely put in a bunch of work this offseason. Like I think another thing, like another tip of the cap to him is like he's versatile defensively. Like I've seen him play third base, seen him play second base for Jacobs. They do have the luxury of having an Andrew Deegan still over there at Jacobs who's just going to man shortstop for him. But like after what I saw Saturday, like I wouldn't be surprised if Tucker could play short for him as well, like in a pinch. So just want to give him some more love there defensively.
And one more thing about his round of BP. I mentioned he peaked at 101. He averaged 95. So like Drew said, he was on the barrel consistently. But I'll move on to my upside sleeper if no one else has anything right now. I know, Drew, this is someone that you liked as well, but Ashton Binns from Burlington Central, 2028. Just like the frame, catches your eye immediately. He's 6'1", like 156, so a ton of room to come there. It's lean, it's athletic. I just really like the swing and the way it worked, right? It's loose. There's length through the zone. It's a line drive type swing. And he was like mid-90s for the exit velo. So you can see that getting a lot more physical in a hurry. There's already clay to work with there, but just one that stood out just from his round of BP to me.
100%. Always looking for like swings that project. Because there's a lot of different swings. You know, everybody kind of swings their own swing, but the loose, whippy swings that stay through the zone, and guys that like, you know, aren't over swinging and the ball is jumping off their barrel always stands out to me, especially Pete, you mentioned it, with a frame like his. Like as he continues to get more physical, that's only going to be, you know, just more impact coming off the bat. So, you know, one to really keep an eye on down the road. I also kind of had a sleeper, you know, bat for me, but MJ Castelloni at Fremd, left-handed hitter. It was kind of the same deal as Ben's. Like it was probably the best I've ever seen him move the barrel. Now his was a little bit of like a bigger swing, but there was present bat speed. It flashed really, really good. And I don't even think it was his best round. Like he was probably coming out of the cage a little disappointed. But it's still, to me, like stood out, and I think he's going to be a left-handed hitter to follow over there at Fremd in the 2028 class.
Well, we can move on to arms now. And Drew, I feel like you should probably lead us off here because your guy was throwing, your mound was right next to mine, and it was hard for me not to steal some peeks over there at your mound on this guy. But who's your top arm on the day? Yeah,
so Owen Borkowski from Huntley, 2027, uncommitted. He's kind of on that same trend that we're talking about, like guys that just keep getting better. And huge shout out to the work that he's been putting in because it was by far the most dynamic we've ever seen him. The fastball alone was jumping out of the hand. It played up to 90.5. And like what really stood out to me is just the natural life that he has in his arm. Like it is an electric arm that tells me like, he's only going to throw harder as he gets older. Like, he's not even close to being done. Like, there's way more velo in there. And then, too, like, he gets all kinds of natural run and life to the fastball. And I was digging in his profile because I just wanted to make sure I gave him, like, some shout-outs. But his fastball is running up to averaging 17.2 inches of horizontal to it. And then you factor in the spin that he had along with the fastball. And it's a dynamic arsenal. Now, currently, it's only a 2-pitch arsenal. Fastball. He was throwing a sinker, like 2-seam, that basically he throws at the same velo as his 4-seam, so with more horizontal to it. So it's like, hey, just, you know, maybe just throw that 2-seamer and go to the slider. But the slider was low 70s with all kinds of late hard sweep and snap to it. Like it's a horizontal pitch. It matches the lower arm slot that he's got. And he showed really good feel for it. Like with the amount of guys that have huge movement to their breaking balls, like it's hard for them to consistently land that pitch in the zone. Like it's a lot easier to land like a short wrinkle in the zone. This thing is like wipeout, swing and miss action. And he was landing that thing consistently. Now, he's far from a finished product, but I love the athletic mover that he is. I love the dynamic stuff that he is, and I'm going to bet on that to just continue to get more and more polished as he gets older. And that's a guy that any college out there looking for an arm right now, 2027-wise, like we specifically need to go see Owen throw this spring. But, man, we need to, coaches need to be following that because there's not too many 2027s that I've seen, that you guys have seen, that kind of have the stuff that he currently has and the projection that I think is, going to continue to come.
Yeah, I mean, staying on dynamic stuff, I had Jackson McDonald, Sycamore Jr., 2027. He was my favorite arm. I mean, kind of like you said, Drew, he's got a really projectable frame. I mean, it's electric with like some clay to mold. It was really elastic and whippy in the arm action. Gets a ton of layback in the back shoulder, and it like at times it's not super synced up, but when it is, watch out because it's 89.4 with the fastball, living mid upper 80s, and it's coming out really good with life through the zone. The slider flashed wipeout, 23-2400 range, and the changeup is a really good third offering too. He kills spin on it. Had some tumble, so it's 3 pitches with developing feel for them all. But it's, you can't teach the athlete and the just pure raw dynamic stuff that he has. So, I mean, he's one to watch coming this spring for sure.
We didn't really talk about this, Pete, before the podcast or anything, but um, the same holds true for him as a left-handed hitter. Like, he was in my cage. It's not polished. He's a raw athlete, but like how short he is to the ball and the way the bat enters the zone and like the ability to backspin, and even like he hit a couple ground balls, but it was different off his bat. There's some twitchy athleticism in there, left-handed hitter. He ran a sub 4.030. I really like the future for him, whatever it ends up being, and whenever he does, or if he does, just continue to focus, solely on baseball at some point at the next level. Like, he might be a later bloomer when he all figures it out. But hey, in 4 years, if we see him, he's starting on a Friday night somewhere, like we talked about to open this podcast, like I wouldn't totally be shocked.
And I can say on the topic of 2027 arms, I actually have two I want to mention here, but the first arm is Koa Franzak, left-handed arm out of Barrington. Another guy to me that was a huge winner from this event, and a guy we probably need to cross-check this spring. Like I said, left-handed arm. The fastball was very clean with some arm side run. Like, I thought it was pretty explosive. It was 86 to 88 with the fastball. The breaking ball could use some firming up, but like I thought the shape was pretty effective out of the stretch. It was maybe better out of the stretch than it was in the windup. But then like change up, 77 to 80, hard downer action. Like, that's a pitch that can get guys out right now. So that was my first winner as an arm. The second is a 2029 out of Cary Grove. We mentioned earlier that Cary Grove lost Charlie Tassie. Well, in steps Matthew Lofel Jr. Like I said, a freshman. Who knows if he pitches this year on varsity, but like a guy to me. So with our company, the next big time event for these 2029s are our super sophomore games. And this is a kid to me that is like right near the top of that list of guys we need to cross check for that event going into next summer. Like, thought it was very polished. The fastball was 82 to 83, had some arm side run to it. It's not just some flat fastball. The slider was very tight, 71 to 73, could throw it for strikes. And then was also throwing, I thought, a very advanced changeup for his age at 76 to 77. It was firm. It's not a guy who's like slowing down his arm to like just have a get me over changeup. And it was showing downer action as well. So a guy I was really excited about leaving the event, and a guy I'm curious to see what type of role he can carve out this spring, if any, on varsity.
I'll get in there I had a few other interesting arms, to say the least. And I know on this, these episodes, we don't talk about every guy. And, that's why, like, anybody out there listening, make sure to check out the quick hits, because we'll dive into everything we saw and get a little bit, more into the weeds on some of these guys than we can in the podcast. But I thought Sean Dabe was really, really, really interesting from Huntley, a 2027 uncommitted. There's some effort in the delivery, but it's a clean arm. It strikes me as a back end type guy. Like, he also kind of has that mindset to him on the mound, just watching him go through his bullpen. But he was pounding fastballs in the zone consistently, like basically sitting at 87, touched 88, showed two different breaking balls, both with feel, both thrown aggressively, with intent, with action, with depth. And I thought it was a really, really quality showing for Sean. Like, that was probably the best I've ever seen him. And then Michael Bud Shanahan as well was a guy that stood out to me. Tyler, I know a guy you've been familiar with in the past. So just a ton of guys that just continue to get better up there in the Fox Valley, and good to see those guys on my mound. And I don't know if I said it, but Bud Shanahan's a 2027 from Crystal Lake Central. So shout out there, Michael. Good stuff.